Work that time. I don't know what was wrong the last time, but it worked this time. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Haze. I am Josh Hayes, and I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but I've got a slightly different setup than I normally do. That is because I rearranged my office yesterday, and I have more room. So my bookcase that's usually behind me is over there, and maybe I'll give a tour later. How is everyone doing today? How is everyone this morning? It is Friday, which means it's close to the weekend, and for a lot of people, that is their major writing days. It used to be for me anyway, and but now it's just any other day, because most of my days now are major writing days. So I realized the other day when I was doing this that a lot of people might come to this show before they go to live or any of the other shows that we have on Keystroke now. So I wanted to introduce myself a little bit, and then probably try to do that on the shows that we have going forward. So I am Josh Hayes. I am a science fiction writer and fantasy also. I've written the Terra Nova series, as you can see back here, with Richard Fox, and the Second Star series, several short stories and a lot of anthologies, and then 2 upcoming science fiction novels, or military science fiction novels, Stryker's War and Edge of Valor, which Stryker's War is written in the Galaxy's Edge universe, and Valor is my first solo military science fiction in its own universe. No collaborations, no nothing. It's my first ever solo mil sci-fi novel, and I'm really super nervous about it. So that is a little bit of me and my writing. Scott Moon and I started Keystroke Medium, which is what this channel is, what this vlog is on. And we do a whole bunch of author interviews, a lot of craft discussion. Check out all our videos at our YouTube spot. I'll link it up here. But also, if you're not new and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And then hit that little bell, and that way you'll get notified when we have live shows. Because most of what we do is live. Keystroke International is not, which starts this Saturday. It starts tomorrow. So you guys are in for a treat for that. But most of what we do is live, so you can come and hang out in the live chat. There's a whole bunch of people with me this morning, so thanks everybody for coming and hang out with me. Most of the regulars, a couple new people I see, welcome, and very, very cool to have you guys hang out with me this morning. Oh man, I forgot the coolest thing ever. I got so excited about the music working that I forgot that. Boom, there we go. I don't know how I forgot that. My apologies. So let's kick it off and start talking about what we had originally scheduled for today, which is Ask Me Anything. I realized on Wednesday's show that I talked a little bit about what I did, and a little bit on Monday about my outlining and stuff, but I didn't give any updates on what I was doing. And that's basically what this whole blog is for, is to kind of follow my journey as a full-time author. So figured I'd give updates, brief updates as we go along. And if people don't like the updates, then I'll stop doing them. But I think it's interesting to kind of share what I've been doing, going into doing writing full time. So I am at 14,000 words on my ghostwriting project. I got 5,000 words yesterday, I'm sorry, 3,000 words yesterday, and then 5,000 words the day before. Terra Nova 4 is coming along very well. I've got a little over 2,000 words in the draft right now, and I'm kind of snowflaking a little bit on the outline, kind of building it up. And so I think I'll show a little bit, maybe more of how I'm doing that on Monday's show if people are interested. If you're interested in how I kind of snowflake the outline from Richard, leave a comment in this video and let me know if you're interested in it. And then we can talk about it. Yes, Josh, so many dolls. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that that line. Josh, so many dolls. Hayes, I like that. Thanks, Lauren. I get nicknames all the time. My company nickname is Supreme Overlord Boss Spice, which I'm not really sure how we got to the spice aspect of the nicknames. But if you spell it out, then you'll know why. And so I wanted to share also in January, half of January I spent on vacation, kind of burning some time from my day job. My total word count in January was 61,363 words. I didn't have a specific goal in January. That's just how it kind of wound out. And then my goal for February's word count is 80,000. So we're trucking along, and hopefully I think we'll hit that no problem. So that is my update. We will hit some questions now. We got a lot in the event that I put up, which I probably should do events for the show every time we do a show, instead of just putting up the link, and that way it's easier to find the questions. But we did get 2 voicemails, so we will play those. One of them I'm going to play actually ties into going full-time very well. So let me get this set up for you guys, and let's see here. Let's do guys first.
Hey, Josh, this is Guy Anthony DeMarco, and my question to you is, what horrible childhood trauma happened in your past that caused you to want to become an author in the first place? Thanks.
Guy, thanks for your question. And first of all, I think it's super cool that we have the phone line now that you can call in and leave messages on. I think that's a really neat way to do questions. And so if you're hesitant on doing that because you don't want to hear your voice on air, that's okay. It's fun, and it's a good way to get questions to me. So, in reference to Guy's question, I didn't have a traumatic experience, but it was one of those things where I lived in Germany with my parents as a probably 6 or 7-year-old, and the only channel that we got there, AFN, the Armed Forces Network, they played Star Trek: The Next Generations on, and I can't remember if they were reruns or if they were actual episodes. They just came late, and I got hooked on Star Trek very, very young. Loved it. The Next Generation was my favorite show. Then watched a whole bunch of science fiction movies that we had to basically record because they played at like 1 or 2 in the morning, and then we would watch. And we had my mom had up a whole cabinet of VHS tapes that were just a whole bunch of recorded movies, and loved Knight Rider as a kid. All those different kind of speculative fiction shows. And so I think I was about 13, and I still hooked on Star Trek, still was reading a whole bunch of books about science fiction stuff, and I just wanted to write. I wanted to write my own story, and I didn't even know what it meant to do that. I just grabbed a notebook and wrote it. And I actually have it here. Let's see, I'll get it for you. Ha! Wait, this is not it. Hold on. All right, here's the right one. Got these rolly floors I can do. Okay, so this is pretty cool. I've got a picture of this somewhere, but I've never actually shown the whole thing live. So this is my first ever science fiction story. It was written in a one subject notebook that is wide rule, not narrow college rule, and it it's horrible. I even have my little own. I don't know if you can see it. My little own cover. With a little space station by Josh Hayes. Oh yeah. And had my own like chapter headings and start dates. I don't know what the numbers meant. And so here's my first line of my first story ever. It was almost dawn on Maraca 3. The dark green leaves rustled as a brisk wind blew across the eastern plain of the Westlock Science Laboratory and University. It's a good first start for my first story ever at 13. And so it's not very long. It's like 138 pages of front and back. I finished it. Look at this. The End, finished, easy, May 11th, 1995. And this is the first story I ever wrote and finished. So since then I've written a lot and not finished. But it was fun. And there's a whole bunch of dang it's where I couldn't curse because I was too little. And so that's pretty cool. I still have that. I save it. I have a sequel called Armada, not to be confused with, what's his name's book, Armada. And, so that's what kind of springboarded me into, writing fiction. And I didn't really start doing it really seriously and full time until, probably 2012 when I met Scott. So let's see. That's my start. Let's do the. Actually, let's save that other voicemail for here in a minute because that's going to take a couple minutes to answer. Let's look through the Facebook post and see. Rhett asked me what kind of coffee I'm drinking, and then he called me out for not having any coffee in my coffee cup. I used to drink Black Rifle coffee all the time, but I'm cutting back on my expenses, so now I'm just using Maxwell House Classic Roast, and I've got the industrial strength or industrial size rather coffee with my coffee pot that's right next to my computer, so I don't have to go anywhere. And I can just, I just need an IV. Put it right in. Tyler asks, why clear glasses? Can't you have frames like the rest of us? I do. These glasses, these are my blue light glasses. Got them to see if it would make a difference on staring at the computer screen for hours at a time. I think they do help. I've noticed that my headaches have been reduced a little bit. And the only thing is that these ones in particular are not super duper comfortable. So I'm looking into some different brands that may fit a little better and are a little bit more comfortable to wear. Oddly enough, they're really close to my actual prescription because my prescription isn't that strong. Okay, so let's see. Next question. I love these. Love them. Ellen Campbell asks, why did I use as 502 times in one book? Well, because. That's the only thing I got. Because. Kevin McClellan asks, what size do you format your paper books to and why? So I got props for that too. So I do, and I'll use the Kingdoms of Iron and Stone anthology as an example. This is the Kingdoms of Iron and Stone anthology right here. I don't know which way is best. It is 5x8. I like the 5x8 because it's not enormous and it's the smallest one that right now that KDP will do as a print book. Richard does a little bit bigger for his, and you can kind of see the difference a little bit in the size. It's about maybe half an inch to an inch taller, probably half an inch taller. than the one that I use, and then a half an inch wider. And my thing is too, if you use the smaller book, you get basically more pages. So like, it's I say more pages like it makes it look better, but it does. If you have a bigger book that's thin, it might look like, well, that's not a very long story, but it is because you just have big pages. If you do it on the 5x8, you get like basically a normal size book. It's not quite the same as like a mass market paperback, but it's close enough that when you hold it, it's not unwieldy. It's not big like a hardback or anything like that. So that's what I use is 5 by maybe it might be 5 1/4 by 8, but I think it's 5 by 8. I'll double check for that and let you know. Let's see. Next question. Rick was asking if anybody wanted to collaborate in an epic fantasy project, and Ken was talking to him about that. I love collaborations, by the way. If you guys can collaborate with people, even if it's just for short stories or novella projects, I think it's a great learning experience for you as an author, and can help build your writing chops. I'm, for some reason, going into a screensaver. Don't want that. So I would definitely encourage anyone to do a collaboration if you can. I'm going to skip Rhett's question. Rhett, about weight. I'm actually losing weight, actually. Okay, so there's two questions here that I'm going to break into. Let's see, what time are we at here? What are we looking at? 17 minutes. That's all right. You guys are a captive audience, right? You don't care if I go long. So I'll tackle let's see. I'll tackle Tyler's question first, and then I'll get to Bill's. So and I'm going to cover this a lot on Monday, so I'm just going to briefly cover what Tyler asks. And Tyler says, do you dictate? Have you tried? This might be covered in another podcast episode, but I've only recently started listening on Mondays. But given your mic setup, I figured it was in the realm of possibilities. Yes, I do dictate, and actually I've been doing a lot of that in the last couple of days as I've been sitting down in front of my computer for 6 to 7 to 8 hours a day. I've been noticing a lot more, and I've had it for a while, but I've got some tingling in my left hand, and it's not super painful most of the time, but I'm pretty sure it's either going to be a pinched nerve or a little bit of carpal tunnel that I'm working off, and I'm going to a chiropractor and wearing some a brace on my hand for that at nighttime. But I've also gone to a split keyboard, and I'll do a video on this also if you want. See if I can do this without crashing my computer. So I've got a split keyboard, and so this is one half, and that's the other half. That's how it's designed. It's a Kinesis Freestyle 2, and basically you can just separate them out. And I'll see if I can get the camera when I talk about this later. Maybe I'll do an Instagram video or something. You can split the keyboard and twist it, and so when you're sitting, you've got a more natural position when you're typing than just cramming your hands together like this. And it's like you have the Microsoft natural keyboards that have been around for a while. These ones you can adjust even so that you're typing, instead of typing flat, you're typing sideways. So I like this keyboard a lot. I miss having the clickety clack of my mechanical keyboard, as I've got a DOS keyboard that is ridiculously awesome for tactile feedback, and I just like that clicky sound. I think that there's a Kinesis keyboard that's like that too, but it's like $200, so we'll have to wait until I get some more royalties coming in before I do that. So I say all this to say that yes, I am using dictation a lot more. because I don't want to type, and it helps my hands feel better. And so I have been dictating a lot. What I normally do is I don't like it breaks my flow when I am dictating like open quote, I said this, close comma, close quote, I said, right? It really kind of screws with me a little bit. So what I am doing is kind of like a hybrid method where I will basically, it's like the opposite of show don't tell. So I tell myself the story through dictation, and I use like an outline mode in Scrivener. And so I'll have the outline mode and then say he walked into the room and the lights were like this and the lights were like this and the lights were like this, or just set it up, the description. And then when I do dialogue, what I'll do is I'll type the first letter of the character's name, do a little dash, and then just say what they say. And then I'll go back later and fix all the commas and quotation marks and all that stuff. And that keeps me kind of in the flow. And sometimes I'll just talk for the characters, and I'll have big lines of text that I'll have to go back and clean up. But it's faster than saying the open quote, close quote, comma, exclamation point. Like sometimes I do that, but a lot of times I don't, and I'll just kind of speak it. So maybe on Monday I'll do like a screen share and kind of work you through a little bit about the voice dictation that I do. Scott actually did a video on that this morning about his process in dictation, and I think ours are a little bit different. But if you haven't seen his, it's on the channel. He posted it this morning. Go check it out. Okay, so now we'll go to the last call-in question, which is from Walt. And so here, I'll play it now.
Hey there, this is Walt, and I'm a faithful fan of the show. And this question is for the Ask Me Anything show that should appear on Friday. I was wondering, now that you're exclusive, what kind of things did you have to do to make that happen? Health plan, dental, putting away for retirement. What kind of backstage things did you have to work to make that a legitimate go? So look forward to the show. Thank you guys for what you do, and cheers.
Awesome. Thanks, Walt, for the call. I really appreciate it. There's a couple things that had to happen for me to go full time, and some of that goes back to the diversifying my income that I talked about on Wednesday, where it's setting up a lot of different things that put together really kind of make it feasible financially to do it. A couple things though that I'm kind of in a really unique position, and I know that, and I am blessed in that aspect of my career right now as a writer, and that my wife has a really fantastic job. And she's got really good insurance. So we've actually been double insured from my insurance with the city and then her insurance. And so now we're just going to be completely on her insurance. And she has dental and all that too. So all of that is going to be covered under her insurance. So right now I don't have to worry about self-employed insurance or like any of the stuff that you look at when if you're the sole income earner, what other things do you have to look at? And that also kind of changed the necessary amount. Like everybody has this amount that they need to make to be a full-time writer. Everybody says they want to make $1 million on our books, or they say, I want to make $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year to be a successful writer. But that's not true. I mean, you just have to look at your own situation and say, what is it that I need to do this full time, financially speaking? And it could be whatever number. If that number is $45,000 a year for you to be able to go full time, then, and you hit that number, then you are a successful author. Doesn't matter that you're not making $100,000 or $1 million, so that you don't have a book deal or whatever. None of that matters. If it's a number that you can live with, that you can eat and support your family, that's all you need. And so like my number is not 100,000. My number is not 1 million. My number is very like I take my salary that I had and that's it. Like as long as I can make that, I'm a success. And so I mean, I'm aiming high. I'm not going to turn down $100,000 a year or $1 million a year, but that's not my goal. And so, and then my wife's job obviously helped with that, and then having health insurance helped that number be a little bit more contextual because I don't have to pay for those other things. As far as retirement, I have a finance guy that's going to roll all of my pension and retirement from my police pension into a self-employed retirement account. He's going to hook up a lot of stuff there for tax shelters if I start pulling in a lot more money. But I would highly suggest getting a financial guy. My guy works for Edward Jones, the company, and he's doing a lot for me to set up my retirement and look at how much I need to put back and how aggressive I want to do. As far as backstage things, like I said, you just have to kind of figure out in your own space what you need to eat and what you need to pay your bills and all that, and also you got to put money for taxes, and so I am taking 30% out of everything that I make and I'm putting that in a completely different account, so I don't touch it. I know it's there, but that way I can pay taxes and I don't have to worry about where the money's going to come from. I just take it automatically and put it into another account as soon as I get paid, and that's from any source. I get money and I go, whoop, it goes right over there. So those are the questions that I had. I'm going to scroll through the chat here. I know I've been talking for a while and I haven't looked a lot at the chat. Yeah, Peter Nealon says that's a hurdle for him. He's a primary earner and he's still got to pay for health insurance. And health insurance is not cheap. Not cheap at all. Even for, like, I know a couple of guys that are retiring from the police department and their retirement is still like $1,600 a month, which is a crazy amount for insurance. So I think that's all the questions that I had. Let me make sure here. I'll make sure because I don't want to miss anybody's question. I don't want to miss anybody's question. Let's see. Let us see. I hope everybody's having a good Friday today. Let's see. Ralph asked a question. Let's see. What does Ralph ask? What is the contraption to the left of your Terra Nova poster under the monitor? Oh, that is my soundboard. It's from Behringer. It's what my microphone is plugged into that routes it into my computer. I can control my volume, my gain, my bass, and treble. It's preamped, so the mic is not powered off my computer. It's powered off the soundboard, and I can run a couple mics off of that if Scott wanted to come here and we wanted to do a podcast together, I could hook a microphone in for him and I could have one and we could do separate cameras. So we might actually try to do that sometimes, is have him over here and see if we can't do a conversation together. And yes, Walt, you can ask new questions if you want. Go right ahead and ask new questions. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? Devin C. Ford asked. And the answer to that is it depends on whether or not it's a European or African swallow. I mean, you really kind of have to pinpoint what you're talking about. And those are very two different things. And it depends on whether it's got a coconut by the husk or if they've got it on a line, tethered between the two. There's a lot of science that goes into swallow airspeed. So you really need to kind of pick. Yeah, and everybody said the same thing. What is your favorite color? Love that movie. So yeah, if anybody has any extra questions while I'm on here, by all means, throw them at me. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I wonder if I could It'd be kind of crazy to pick my camera up and move it around and show you my new office. I created a lot of new space though, so it's more open. I hope that it's not echoey. If it's echoey, let me know. I've still got some sound dampeners up, but there's a bit bigger open space now. So let's see. Bard says, "Did you get to my question?" Let me see if I can find. Did you leave it in the live chat, Bard, of today, or was it in the Facebook group? Let me scroll through here and see. Don't go to. Aha! I really need to figure out how to fix that so it does not go to screensaver. Not echoey, says Bard. Let's see. Where is your question? I'm not finding it. Oh, here we go. How did you budget your earnings between investing in your writing, building your studio, and other things not related? How did you budget your earnings between investing in writing? So, basically, when I built the studio, I just poured a crap ton of money in it. A lot of the things were not expensive. A lot of the things I already had, which was the computer I already had, obviously, because I needed it for writing. The microphone I didn't have, but we went through a couple iterations of microphones before we fell on this one, and we actually spent a lot more money with a Bluetooth Blue Yeti microphone that a lot of people liked, and Scott and I each used one for a while, and I didn't think they were that good, to be honest with you. Like they picked up everything. They picked up the elephants, kiddos running upstairs on the floor, and these dynamic microphones are, I think they're, I don't know, $60 or $70 maybe, but they just pick up what's in front. They don't pick up a whole bunch of background noise, which kind of can reduce the quality of your recording and your podcast. So the other thing is the camera. I invested in a 4K webcam, which is this here. I've got a tripod and some lights, and I'll take some pictures and maybe some video and kind of show everybody what I got going on for the studio portion. But investing in the writing right now, I don't have anything to invest in my writing because most of the writing I did in 2018 was all collaborative. So all of my expenses for that were covered out of my half of the earnings. Like from Richard, we split the cost, but then basically he fronted it and then just took my half out. And then with my Edge of Valor book, Athon Publishing is obviously paying for all the production of the book. They're the publisher. The GE Galaxy's Edge book basically is the same thing. So I haven't had really any production costs with writing my own books. The only production costs I've had in a book is with our anthology. I've got a lot of money tied up into that for production, but I think it turned out really good. And I'm having some issues getting the paperback to verify. So I'm actually gonna have a conversation with Scott about that later and see if we can't figure it out, because I know a lot of people are wanting to buy the paperback. Devin says, could you tell me a little bit, could you tell me my little time vampire to go to sleep so I can work? Oh, I got you. Your little time vampire. That's actually, it's a compound word. Where's Ellen at to fix this? My little time vampire. Yes. I don't know what to tell you. I put him in a closet. He's not going to go anywhere. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Let's see. Walt says, what process do you use to edit down manuscripts before Ellen takes the axe to it? I mean, it's just, I go through, I do my first draft, and then I go through and kind of piece it together after the fact. The problem is that after I go through it and fix it, I lose all my notes. So what I do in Scrivener is I'll write the first draft, and while I'm writing, if I think of the things that I have to change, I'll make notes in Scrivener and just leave it and then go back and fix it later. So after I'm done with the primary draft, it's usually like 1 or 2 weeks of going back and fixing the notes, and then making everything fit together. And then I send it to Ellen. A lot of stuff with Ellen, though, she's working on a manuscript right now that I wrote last year, and so there's a lot of issues with it that I didn't really pay attention to until this year. So she's having fun with that. You're welcome. But really, it's just, I mean, you pay attention to your prose and your draft, and try to pick out all those words and phrases that you use consistently. I know I have a lot. And actually, Ellen and Lauren and Kayleen had a really good show about looking at your manuscript critically. I'll put a little card up here. Actually, it'll probably be over here. You can go and watch that episode if you haven't yet. That's a really good episode on looking at your manuscript and finding things that needed fixed. All right. Mac, Windows, or Linux. I definitely use a Mac. I've used a Mac since 2012, and the reason I used a Mac is because I used to do a lot of gaming. I used to build my own computers in an online game, and it was a huge time suck. And so I used to play like Battlefield and Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, and I would get sucked into those games for hours at a time. And so now I don't. I don't do that anymore. I don't play games, but in order to kind of break the cycle, I went and got a MacBook and just forced myself how to learn it. And now I use it exclusively. Mac is so better. In my opinion, Mac is way better than PC, especially with Scrivener, and I love Scrivener. You guys know that. And for Vellum is ridiculously innovative. I love using that to make ebooks and paperbacks. But I mean, it's a simple computer. You can do a lot of things with a Mac that you can't do with a PC. They are really expensive, but you get what you pay for. Is your name and keystroke logo on it? Is your name and keystroke logo an overlay? Yes. Yes. My name and the keystroke logo on here is an overlay. This is being used. I'm using a different broadcast software, so with this new software, I can use overlays, unlike doing it straight from YouTube on our Hangouts like we normally do. Walt says, "How much time do you budget for working out and shooting?" Well, I don't do any shooting anymore. I probably will just occasionally, just because I like it. And I'm starting a workout schedule. I probably go 2 or 3 times a week to the gym. But that's having the kids is, I mean, I'm a full-time author, but I'm also a full-time dad. And, I take care of the kids on Tuesdays and Thursdays when they're not at daycare or when my parents aren't here to watch them. So I juggle that a lot. Still get up at 4 a.m. to work. I slept in this morning, and yesterday the in-laws are in. But I get up at 5 and bust out some words, then mess around with the kids for a while, come back and get some more. So, all right. Well, we've rambled on for a while, and I think, I originally said I was going to do like 15, 20-minute interviews, or not interviews, but podcasts, and we're at almost 40 minutes. But that's okay. I like talking. And if you guys enjoy the show and like the longer format, then we're good with that. But I'd like to keep it shorter if we can. So Monday I'll probably talk about a little bit about dictation, a little bit about snowflaking my outline, and then we'll see about Tuesday. I like the questions. So if we get enough throughout the week, maybe that I'll continue to do Ask Me Anythings on Fridays. But it's fun, and I like talking to you guys, and I like kind of sharing my experience, especially now being full-time, and I have the time to do it. So don't forget, like and subscribe. Make sure that you're following the show. Make sure you're sharing it. The more eyes we can get on the show, the more fun we're going to have. The more people we can get involved in engagement, the better. we have a roundtable tonight, Monday night, and then Keystroke International premieres tomorrow. It's a pre-recorded show, but you guys need to watch it. It's fantastic. John and Ralph did a really, really good job putting it together, and I'm really excited to see what people think about it. So thank you guys for joining me on the Morning Haze. I am Josh Hayes. We'll be back next time. We're going to talk about some reading. We're going to talk about some writing and everything in between right here on Keystroke Medium. See ya.